your children are turned into mindless vassals who now they look up to some twit instead of looking up to Thomas Jefferson or looking up to Nikola Tesla or looking up to Magellan. I mean, kids, Magellan's a lot cooler than Justin Bieber. He circumnavigated with one ship the entire planet. He was killed by wild natives before they got back to Portugal. And when they got back, there was only...
But why? $22 million in 3 fucking hours!
There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time. The real question is this: was all this legal? Absolutely fucking not.
Neither go towards the feeding grounds at the edge of the ice, nor return to the colony. Shortly afterwards, we saw him heading straight towards the mountains, some 70 kilometers away. Dr. Ainley explained that even if he caught him and brought him back to the colony, he would immediately head right back for the mountains. But why?
What's your dream? To go away.
To go away. That's right.
Do you guys want to drink? I don't understand why everybody has to be so judgmental. I understand why mom's judgmental. I think it's because she cares partially. I think it's also partially because everyone else is looking at her like, hey, Cody's just a bum. Cody's this, Cody's that, Cody's this. Cody's me, bro. Let me be me.
GM.
Yo.
Friday, gotta get down on Friday. Am I
Friday.
right? Let's go, boys.
Let's get it. What's up, y'all? Hope you guys are doing well. Dude, I love the pre. The pre-show really just has a way of getting me hyped up every time. And I'm feeling good. I
know. I wanna like sing it into our intro. What I feel like if I do that, I've lost it. We're off. But yeah, I'm sitting there. You know, I forget the tune now. Yeah. How we doing, Jill? How's the week been?
Chilling, bro. I'm chilling. Week's been good. Starting to pull back. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I made a few mistakes here. On the trading side. Yesterday, I literally got into the XPL long a little too early. I'd have been in profit, but I mismanaged the stop. So here I am. But anywho, not a bad week overall. I mean, we caught a couple good shorts earlier in the week. We caught a good short on Jito, on Jupiter, on Grass,
Man,
and a few others.
Shorting some of these is crazy work to me. Like there's a pocket of really strong. There's like a pocket of strong assets. It's like Jupiter, Jito, Backpack, Hyperliquid, and you're like, let me short half of these. I find that crazy. There's so much weak stuff. Why don't you just go short? Like, I don't know.
I even shorted XPL, and that was absolutely I crushed it. But I ended up getting long on near a little early. But yeah, I mean, look, let me just show, because if you guys remember from our Trader Radio on Monday, I was basically telling you guys, dude, we're going into resistance like across the board, right? On Monday, we talked about Bitcoin on the daily. I showed you guys that, hey, look, we're looking for a higher low. We're looking for we're looking for like a lower high to form somewhere, and this area seems to have a lot of resistance and seems to be a decent place that makes sense for price to reject, and it did. Along with that, we noticed that, WorldCoin was heading into some resistance. We saw that, but WorldCoin has been pretty strong. I definitely did not try to short that one. XPL also had a nice SFP on the daily. Jupiter as well was entering into resistance, as you can see here. Huge area of resistance above, along with making marginally lower highs along the way. Grass, same thing, headed into resistance and had the daily SFP form. So why did I go short? It was because of all of this, man. We're heading into resistance on Monday, and I told you guys the setups were on the way, and they were. So I just kind of made the plan and followed through with it, despite some of these outperforming.
Nice, man. Nice. Yeah, dude, looking on chain, I'm not sure if you've seen Orinth recently popping up. Orinth is an ecosystem that's been around for a while. I want to say it actually even launched. Yes. Did it launch on Bags? I don't know. It launched somewhere, but now it's its own launch pad. And recently it had Alpi, I believe it is Alpi, going on a nice run, and then Dot as well, or maybe it's not Dot, but there's a second one as well. Two of them went on a pretty big run, and it's actually below two of the ecosystem leaders. Any insight there?
I haven't. I've seen it around. Let me look at the chart one more time here. What was that ticker again?
Orinth.
Yes. GM Pamadiji, GMS Powers. Good to see you guys in the chat.
What up?
Appreciate y'all boys joining us here today.
For you, look, we're gonna have a great conversation here. We got our boys coming on from Blockworks. It's gonna be a great conversation. We're gonna talk about the Masari acquisition. Again, Blockworks and Masari, the two data giants. They've been, they launched around the same time. They've kind of been going back and forth. Blockworks acquired Masari not long ago. So first and foremost, interesting conversation there. I've been loving Blockworks. If you guys have been seeing my Twitter, it's just, I'm a walking advertisement for Blockworks, but should be good. Nick and Luke are going to come on and talk about it. Not only are we going to talk about the acquisition of Masari, but we're traders here. What are the guys looking at? What are the boys looking at? These guys are in the weeds. When it comes to data, I don't think anyone sees more data than these guys. We come on here, give our smooth brain takes. There are real analysts out there doing real work. These guys are hopefully going to give us that perspective. So I'm excited. This is a good one for the traders out there. We're going to get the framework, the trading framework. We're going to get the trades they're looking at, what they're most excited for, the direction and verticals they see popping off internally. Yeah, it's going to be a banger conversation. And of course, talk all things Blockworks acquiring Masari. Going to be a great conversation. So sorry to derail that, but I had to jump in.
No, I think that's well timed. That's well timed. I've Blockworks. I've seen Blockworks, like, they've been doing so much. They've been doing so much on the data side. They've been a very good resource, like as far as research flows, looking at all the different on-chain pieces of on-chain data. So definitely excited to get them on and to talk to them a little bit more about, not of course all things Blockworks, but also talk to them a little bit about what they're excited about in the market. We said it earlier this week, right? This is the perfect time to be in crypto right now. Innovation is at an all-time high with everything that we're seeing, from AI to robotics to RWAs, tokenization, equities on chain, and the list goes on and on and on. But obviously the overall retail interest, the overall interest in the market is at all-time lows at the moment. So definitely the R&R for being in crypto right now is absolutely through the roof. But overall, excited to see where their interest is specifically right now. So we'll talk to them live that interview will go live at 12:30. So we'll bring them on here in the next couple of minutes. In the meantime, I guess maybe we just take an overall, just kind of look at the market. Like I said, You know, we rejected off resistance. We were looking at that earlier this week. I think you guys know the green box by now. You've seen this on my chart for months and months and months. But I think we take another swing here at sub 60K levels. That gives us entries on a lot of these alts that have been outperforming. So just really have to wait for the market to kind of line up with us a little bit. GM Jeet Sparrow, hope you're doing well, man. All the Discord chats coming out hot. If you guys aren't in the Discord, you should get in there ASAP. Okay, so speaking of that, you guys know what we have to do before this interview goes live. We gotta do our housekeeping. Got to do our housekeeping. So let's do this together, shall we? Let's do this together.
We shall.
Let's all go to at MCG Live. At MCG Live. We got a few of the chads in here right now.
About to cross 11K, by the way.
Yo, appreciate you guys. I mean, how close are we? How close are we? Woo-wee.
Don't get much closer. About to cross it, man. Steady grind, dude. Pretty great to see in this market.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we've been growing pretty steadily over these last few weeks and months. It's been amazing. So we really appreciate the support, guys. Go to the MCG account at MCG Live. Make sure you're following the account. You want to scroll down, and the absolute first tweet that you'll see is this tweet here. Do we have the no quote tweet?
So no quote tweet today.
No quote tweet today. No quote tweet today. So here's the live instance. Here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna hit like, and you're gonna hit RT, and I'm gonna throw a comment in there.
Last time we did this was the end of the stream. You know, it's like,
right,
what's going on, guys? You know.
So now we got to get it at the beginning of the stream. Right? So we're live. MCG followers will go crazy, like Kintara chart, one day 50K. Dude, we're about to hit like pretty astronomical numbers here pretty soon. Awesome.
Speaking
all right, guys.
of numbers, Chill, I think it's time for the transition then, huh?
Not time for the transition. Yeah,
a couple minutes. No, let's keep it ripping and rolling for a bit. Let's do maybe a bit more macro, and if you're seeing anything happen on chain, maybe run through that. We'll give them some more time here.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So let's just finish up with some of the macro thoughts here. So first off, we got Bitcoin coming into resistance, like I was talking about earlier, sub 60K levels. You guys have seen the green box. That's probably the next area, the next point of interest for me. So I'll be looking to get long, sub 60K. Now, I don't know, we could front run the level, or we could go deeper into it. I don't think there's like an in between, right? Like right now, we know a lot of people are focused on sub 60K. So, it's classic in bear markets to kind of front run these more obvious levels. So keeping an eye on that, but very interested once we go sub 60K. The other chart that I want to point out before we start this next interview is MET. MET starting to gain some momentum here.
Party.
So I don't know if you guys saw the tweet from Dom earlier, but that was absolutely a banger tweet. I mean, you did a great job breaking everything down.
Appreciate it. Actually, little subtle shout out to the Blockworks guy, because I believe I used some of the Blockworks charts in there. I know Meteora does the token transparency filing with Blockworks. If you don't know, now you know. The token transparency filings. This is what we want to see on chain. I feel like a year or two ago, what happened was no one really paid attention to the numbers. There was no investor relations. We were very, again, I feel like behind the scale. I think Blockworks is doing a good job kind of bringing us up front with transparency, bringing the things that people need to the front of the table here. But yeah, as you can see, people were just missing Meteora. I don't really get how it happened. Of course, we talked about it on stream the other day. I felt compelled to put out this tweet because people are just sleeping on. They're doing $17 million annualized. And of course, this is in one of the worst markets of all time. You can see the chart there. This is down, maybe 50% from peak back about 3-4 months ago, or probably even further. I think maybe it's even quarterly here. But, they're doing 17 million annualized. The thing about Meteora, and if you even, I think, tab over here to the next picture, I should have a screenshot of the treasury. Maybe it's the first one. But nonetheless, Meteor is doing $17 million annualized. They have 40 million. Here's the treasury right here. This is what most people are missing. This is the investor relations page of Meteor. They have $40 million sitting in their treasury. Okay, and I thought this was pretty absurd considering their token itself is trading or was trading when I made this tweet at $55 million. Okay, it's trading at $55 million. They have $40 million sitting in treasury, and they're doing $17 million annualized in a terrible market. Mind you, this is after they've done $13.5 million of buybacks, which is 4% of the token. This is a 3.2 price to earnings ratio. And like I said, 72% of the current market cap was just chilling in the treasury. Felt really mispriced. Of course, after we saw Sunrise, Backpack, and Meteor partner up to launch SpaceX, which did $350 million in volume. And again, I'm sure Nick and Luke are very familiar with this because this chart has been swirling around Twitter right now, the Blockworks chart of the RWA rise going on Solana. Of course, I think Solana has 97% roughly of the dominance in, yeah, there it is, dominance in RWAs or spot equities position. And of course, yes, 3, 4, 5 days ago, we got the SpaceX listing, did $350 million in volume, led by Backpack, Sunrise, and Meteor, of course, being the market maker. And Backpack repriced, was chilling on $40 million for 60 days. Backpack was. Again, this is after they self-reported to do $100 million in revenue in 2025, according to the team. And then, just now launched SpaceX and completely dominated all other venues. The centralized exchanges failed to get their SpaceX pre-stocks, and some of the other venues just weren't able to really do this. They dominated. Backpack repriced from 40 million to, I think it was at 150 million last I checked, in about a week or two. And Meteor just was kind of chilling at 55. So I felt like this was a very good one to highlight. Of course, it's repriced since. It's a motion party, baby. Let's with that chill, I think it's time to pull our boys Luke and Nick up. Again, perfect way to transition here as we have the Blockworks chart up. We've been seeing some pretty crazy stuff, as you guys see by the titles, you guys see by the scrolling bar. And if you saw by Twitter, this went pretty viral. Blockworks acquired Masari. Okay, and if you've been around for a little while, you know the lore here. Masari and Blockworks have just been like the big two data providers for a long time. They've had the best analysts. They do some of the best podcasts. They do a lot of really great work on the timeline here. And of course, very much aligns with, I think, our audience here, which is maybe catered towards a more sophisticated trader that's trying to get the fundamentals, trying to get a full picture of these things. Blockworks is leading with their token transparency filings. They're leading with their data and charting. They're leading with their investor relations. These are the people you want to be talking to. Not only that, we're a trader show. So we want to talk to these analysts who are really doing the work in the front lines and talk to them about the verticals and narratives they're seeing pop off in crypto. Because I know, Chill, you and I see it. There's exciting stuff going on in crypto, but it feels like the general majority of people are just doomers right now. And I feel like that's misjudged. So with that being said, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, drum roll, please. We got Luke and Nick from Blockworks coming up. Guys, welcome to the show.
Gentlemen, welcome.
Luke, we got you muted.
Great to be here. Do you have my audio?
Yeah, Nick, you're good. Let's see if Luke can figure it out here. There we go. Yeah, we got it.
There we go. Got him.
Thanks for having us on, guys.
No worries. You spend all your time deep in the weeds of these analytics and fundamentals. I can see it being difficult to figure out the mic situation. So
happened to me yesterday on the pod as well. Still can't get it.
Gentlemen, welcome to the show. We're excited. It's been a pretty big week for you guys, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. We had the Masari acquisition, which was certainly huge news. We're incredibly excited about what our combined future looks like and basically the impact we can have on the industry, kind of with a shared and aligned mission, and join together the mutual resources of the two companies. I think we'll certainly be stronger together and have a higher impact.
Yeah, this was really cool. It kind of came out of the blue for me. I mean, obviously, I follow Masari and I follow Blockworks for a while now. I think most of the analysts for both of these teams and companies, were top of my list. I have, a running list of really good traders and analysts, and you guys are always up there. I think it just really resonates with the way I trade and the fundamentals I look at. So this was pretty crazy to me. I want to get into all that lore, but we got to do you guys proper justice here. Can we get a little background check on both of you guys? And Nick, maybe you can start, and Luke, you can, I guess, follow that. But just a bit about yourself. How you, I guess, stumbled onto Blockworks and working there, and then we can get into some of the lore and more of this acquisition conversation.
Yeah, so I've been in crypto for 5 or 6 years at this point, primarily focused on real world infrastructure. So anything from DePIN to the collateralized lending sort of stuff to just anything that touches a physical aspect of infrastructure and is uniquely enabled by crypto. Um, and joined Blockworks just about 2 years ago with the, I guess, a mandate of trying to drive more coverage on Blockworks for those types of assets. So your double zeros and heliums of the world, your USDAIs and daylights of the world, and anything that I think is within the crypto sphere, but doesn't necessarily touch the traditional like DeFi rails.
Can I, before Luke, we jump to you real quick, Nick, can I kind of just touch on a few of these things? You said, you know, you're into the DePIN, you're into the collateralized lending. You mentioned like USDI and Helium and some others. Maybe talk me through just like what you're seeing on the front of DePIN. I think, you know, you said you've been in crypto for like 6 years. I think I walk back 2, 3, 4 years, and we look at DePIN, and I think we're in a much different place. I'm seeing a lot of like peer-to-pool conversations go on right now around compute. I think that's a really interesting conversation. And even like a few years ago, when we saw some of these gaming companies doing that, I think that always stuck out to me as something that was going to be pretty valuable. You know, USDI, of course, is iterating in the compute space as well. Maybe talk me through real quick what you're seeing in the DePIN front, because again, we look at Helium, and I think you guys even maybe did a Helium report not too long ago. But it seemed like one of those cases where it kind of suffered from its own success. People were using the platform, and I think they recently made some changes as well. You can maybe clarify, but it was going really well. They had great users. It was growing. But what happened was we saw the emissions from the token from all these people using the network just instantly turning into sell pressure, because we had outside capital paying for the service, and then on crypto rails receiving payouts, and that kind of just turned into selling pressure. What are you seeing right now in the state of DePIN that's maybe different from back then, where we saw these emissions that were kind of heavily being sold, and then today maybe a bit of a change? I think just curious to get your insider look on that.
Yeah, I think the initial cycle, the initial cohort of DePINs, you saw maybe a few winners within that batch, and then quite a few companies that may have had some limited success and then sort of fell off, at least from a price perspective. And I think that taught the majority of prospective DePIN founders what it means to design sustainable economics. In general, I think emitting large quantities of tokens up front in order to bootstrap a network was like a genuinely innovative model, but it's not a necessity for a DePIN project. You don't necessarily have to front load it. You don't necessarily have to trust the people that are in your community to be the ones that are building the network. You just need to build a decentralized network and find a way to fund those initial operations. So I think USDAI isn't a super clean example because they don't run a DePIN network on top, but the way that they've been able to attract capital to bootstrap real world infrastructure deployments and GPUs has been something that DePIN founders are looking at. And you're seeing projects like Dawn and Daylight today try to implement that model with a DePIN network layered on top, which is a nascent sector, but one that we recently coined as COIL, or collateralized on-chain infrastructure lending.
Got you. Yeah, you know, maybe we'll jump into some more of those like individual or theses after, when we get a chance. Just one more to touch on before, Luke, we jump to you here. You mentioned collateralized lending. You know, interestingly enough, we're seeing this massive pop in like Pokemon cards, TCGs, gotchas. Obviously, Blockworks data everywhere for collector crypt on this front, myself included, posting this stuff. And interestingly, we've seen them even partner with some people to do lending against these physical cards. Where do you see the direction of lending happening? Of course, like I think it's something we see in traditional finance, right? You can borrow against your positions, and it's also something we see in DeFi. And then there's looping involved and all these little DeFi mechanisms. Could you maybe talk to me about what you're seeing on the lending front right now?
I think in a perfect world, you should really, as a DeFi native user, you should be able to lend against any asset. I think the borrower level is a little bit different. The projects that I'm most bullish on within the lending landscape today are those that aren't targeting retail to be the borrowers of capital. They're targeting institutions. It's a great USDAI example again, but also like your Maple Finances of the world. And so, yeah, I think in general, like it's great that users are now able to lend and borrow against their trading cards on on Collector Crypt, and that those are like unique use cases that are enabled by DeFi and by crypto and by these new lending products that are coming out. But I think that's just the start. Really, you should be able to lend against any asset that is on chain that you can prove ownership of. And yeah, I'm pretty bullish on lending as a sector. It's probably the part of DeFi that's been most exciting over the past 12 months or so.
Interesting. Yeah, we're definitely going to touch on all that a little bit more as we go down the line here. Luke, on to you. Can you give us a bit on your background, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So background's mostly in economics and finance, got into crypto as a class of 2017. Prior to joining Blockworks, spent 2 years leading market research and product management at a crypto native startup incubator, doing a number of things like centralized exchange, arbitrage strategies, CDP stablecoin protocol, a bunch of other things. Joined Blockworks about 2.5 years ago. Now in the head of research position, so get to learn from all the big brains on the team and the deep roster, and certainly been a fantastic time. Most of my coverage focuses on primarily like the intersection of yield-bearing asset issuers, Pendle, and then principal token utilization on money markets. That's kind of my bread and butter, but have breadth beyond that as well.
Very cool. Can I get your little economic take on, we got a new Fed chair. He obviously had his first FOMC meeting the other day. Any high-level takeaways you want to drop on us from that?
Yeah, so I think if we zoom back a few years to like the 2022 regime, that was a very clear end to the ZIRP or near zero interest rate regime. I don't think we're going back to that anytime soon. And I think we're going to stay in this like 3 to 5% range as kind of like baseline normal interest rates. In terms of like the new Fed chair specifically, I think it'll take some time for the market to digest how he communicates to the market. Like we saw this intention of the Fed being reactive to liquid market prices rather than the other way around. And we also saw that the dot plot tick up by, I believe, 25 basis points. So a hike is certainly back on the table this year. So certainly no easy money from the Fed for the time being. At least that's what's been communicated from this last meeting and what's communicated in the dot plot and the forward curve. And I think that's a totally fine policy stance to have. I think growth is great. AI super cycles got legs to it and years to run. And with that theme, I wouldn't be bearish growth or recessionista by any means for the years to come. Yeah.
Do you have a take on Kevin Warsh? I mean, he's a crypto bro. We know he holds a bunch of different assets.
Yeah.
Any general thoughts?
So I think so he's had bags, Solana, Optimism, DYDX, Polychain Fund. He's had bags in the past, which I think shows both open-mindedness and I guess pro-industry positioning. At the same time, he did need to divest in excess of 100 million across both equities, indices, other investments, and I believe most of his crypto holdings. And so while I would make the assumption he's going to be favorable for the industry and the asset class, I think in his job and his mandate, at least what was communicated Wednesday, is like price stability is his North Star. And I think he's more like anti the Zimbabwe outcome to the currency than he is like pro Bitcoin, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And some of the Bitcoin bull case is, currency debasement, currency collapse. I don't necessarily think that he's going to manage policy towards the Zimbabwe outcome. Quite the opposite. So my bullishness on Bitcoin is certainly tempered or not really affected by the new Fed chair.
He also talked about, he also talked about no forward guidance anymore. Like, what do you think? What's your take on, perhaps the effect that has long term on the market?
Yeah, I think he can guide to no forward guidance, and that in itself is a form of forward guidance. I think markets will react to any bit of information and verbiage they can get, and correctly or incorrectly so. But I'm firmly in agreement that like price is information, and liquid markets are some of the most efficient vehicles in both pricing and revealing certain information. So largely, I'm happy to see the Fed be open-minded to basically be an audience to liquid market prices and respond to that accordingly.
Wow.
Can I actually?
And
go ahead, Jill. Sorry.
If I may, one follow-up question on that, because he talked about just going back to that same thought of open-mindedness. He talked about being open-minded to new data sources. So, and perhaps one of that being the market itself. So that's different from the Fed? How do you think that's a largely good thing? Do you think, what are your thoughts or reaction? What was your reaction to that?
Yeah, I'd say the nature of the bureaucracy and institution, they've inherited these ways of operating, which is looking at data sources that are largely survey driven, which have a high degree of latency. They're always generally looking to the past. Any form of survey has a degree of imprecision to it, whereas liquid markets are the forward-looking vehicles. So at large, I think it's prudent and smart to kind of upgrade the set of information sources that institution is drawing on to come to policy decisions. So yeah, it's a sign of maturity and modernization from that institution.
We also see the market kind of acting. I mean, people say they categorize the traditional markets today almost like crypto markets were in 2020, 2017, so on, where they were super volatile. We're definitely in the era of like growth investments and, 100x price to earnings ratios, trading on things like SpaceX and whatnot. Do you just see us continue to move in this direction where the markets become more volatile, more crazy? Like maybe just getting your take in general on the direction the markets are heading. Are we becoming this hyper gambling, hyper financialized world? Like, what does that look like in your eyes, if that question makes sense?
Yeah, I think at large, that's a growing theme. More people bet, more people gamble, more people trade. And I would be long that idea. At the same time, like we can look at something like call it a stretched multiple, a PE of 100. But at the same time, even if it's within crypto or AI stocks, some of these companies, when they find product market fit with a business product or vertical that's seeing profound PMF, we can see 10x's and 100x's in top line incredibly quickly, like the Anthropic revenue chart, in which case like the stretched PE, it was actually quite appropriate. So I think like growth can happen so quickly, whether it's AI or crypto, that like the bull case outcome that can be realized within 1 or 2 years is so much larger than growth in other verticals that we might have seen historically. So like it's certainly at the frontier, and I'm like incredibly optimistic. But yeah, kind of got to know which tickers and who's actually going to win. Because I was definitely trading a lot of equities in the 2021 mania, and it wasn't too dissimilar at that time, in my opinion.
I want to jump into this whole conversation about the Messari acquisition, but I got to ask one more question. We see private markets or, private companies are staying private for much longer than we have in the past. And, you talk about these stretch price to earnings ratios and, you're right. These companies can quickly scale from 0 to $1 billion to 100 billion faster than ever before. The issue is they're gated behind, they're gated behind the guise of, the private nature of these markets. With that being said, do you see like tokenization democratizing access for people? And, you know, Nick, maybe you have an opinion on this as well. Either of you guys can jump in on it. But as we head to this world where companies stay private longer, do you see blockchain rails enabling access for people other than just, you know, your seasoned investors who have privileged access?
Yeah, I certainly do. I don't necessarily think some of the current product offerings in the market are the end all be all, as much as like a really good first go in democratizing access to these instruments prior to when they go public, whether it's pre-stocks or some of the listings we've seen on HIP3 markets. It can give public market investors or retail just like a vehicle, granted with some flaws in it, to get exposure to that upside. But at large, I also view it somewhat as a problem, that the most successful companies like of our generation, where the most amount of wealth is being created, like public markets and retail can't get exposure to that upside until it's at the $1 to $2 trillion market capitalization. So I kind of think there are bigger things that need to be fixed upstream, balls in the regulators' court to kind of address those things.
And Nick, I know you had a take on that as well.
Yeah, I was going to mention I don't know if you guys have dug into this, but the conversation around especially the big AI labs becoming sort of a public trust, right? Like the Bernie Sanders take that we've had over the past few weeks. It sounds crazy when you first think about it, but I'm beginning to think more and more that could become a reality. It's a moonshot, and I don't know what form it'll take, but I think it's very interesting that it's like sovereign wealth funds in other countries have been wildly successful. They've been able to bootstrap quite a bit of public good for their citizens. And I think that the current regime is looking at what they're doing, and then also in sort of an unprecedented move, beginning to take stakes in the publicly traded companies like AMD and Intel. So I think it's something that we're moving towards, and it's maybe not likely, but it's the most likely that it's ever been that we'll see some sort of public ownership happening at the government level.
Very nice, very nice. Appreciate that take. I guess now let's kind of like pivot a little bit towards the acquisition. I think that's a really interesting part of this whole discussion. Now, I guess the best place to start is just tell us a little bit about what do you think this will change for Blockworks? What do you think this will change for the market in general? What's the value for investors, whether that be retail or seasoned investors or even analysts? Tell us a little bit about that, and maybe Luke, if you'd like to start us off.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like you can think of Blockworks and Masari as both ourselves, but then also the market may have thought of us as competitors for quite some time, and that we were. But at large, like we shared a pretty similar mission of bringing trust and transparency to on-chain markets, connecting basically the high fidelity data of token issuers, token projects with their intended end audience of investors interested in underwriting those projects. So rather than, I guess, like being at each other's throats, trying to outcompete to the grave, it became kind of clear that there was an opportunity for consolidation here, and the combined efforts of the two entities together, I think, just dramatically increases our ability to realize that mission and then have that impact on the industry. So what this gives Blockworks at large is Masari has incredible breadth rather in their data across a lot of the industry, and that's something we'd love to have in-house in our platform. So we're adding a tremendous amount of breadth to our data, in addition to API coverage, which will ultimately eventually scale in the depth of coverage that Blockworks can provide for each of those token projects or sectors. And additionally, like if you're an investor, historically you might have needed to look across two different competing platforms for distinct pieces of information. There might be different perspectives, discrepancies in data. That's all eventually going to be unified for that end investor audience. So ultimately, like combined platform, data, products, mission, ultimately is just a much more compelling package for both the token issuer, token project side of that market, in addition to the investor side.
Hey, Chill, can I jump in here with a question? I actually wanted to follow up. Hey, guys, my name's Josh. I'm the other 1/3 of MCG. Dom here has a little bit of power outage situation, so I'm stepping in. I wanted to ask, because Masari, a couple of years ago, the founder was really adamant that his platform would become kind of like a place where token issuers could disclose certain data, and then the SEC would recognize that as, you know, that's the disclosures out there, similar to how Edgar exists. And so I just want to get your take. Maybe are these platforms becoming that, like where those disclosures are happening, or are they still happening on more SEC sanctioned platforms? Like where do we get to those token disclosures?
I think the North Star here is building a single system of record for all of your on-chain assets, and then the disclosures are built on top of that. Obviously, we don't have mandated disclosures today, but I think it's a matter of when, not if, we will have mandated disclosures. I think 2 years from now, this is going to sound silly even talking about like the when, because it's coming soon. But on that front, Masari's done quite a bit of work on what disclosures can look like, on what ratings can look like over the years. And over the past year, we've been working on our token transparency framework, which I know you guys brought up before we hopped on. I can dive a little bit deeper on that, but the general gist here is that, cool, okay. So token transparency framework is our voluntary disclosure framework that we launched just about a year ago. We've got close to 50 protocols that are voluntarily reporting across certain key metrics in terms of ownership, in terms of the lab co, the dev co, and then now recently, as of yesterday, on off-chain financials for the lab co's as well is a mandate in our B2 framework, which is the framework that we use for slightly more mature assets, versus our B1 framework, which I think is closer to an S1, if you want to think about it that way. It's the initiation of disclosure.
Nice. So maybe extension on this, like we covered Meteor's token disclosures yesterday on the show, and the market just was sleeping on the fact that like 80% of their market cap was basically their treasury, and then it's since gone out and repriced. So obviously token disclosures are very important. How do companies work with you guys on that? And, you know, Meteor has a dashboard on their website, but then there's also, I guess, the Blockworks data. Like, how should people go about researching and finding the information between either the project or yourself?
So I think disclosures in general are a public good. The token transparency framework certainly is a public good. And there are many teams that, like, prior to the token transparency framework, did a pretty good job of disclosing the key metrics and key details that you would want to see, and the data that ultimately ended up being part of the token transparency framework. But that said, as an analyst, it's interesting to be working on the token transparency framework, because previously your job is to, you know, maybe read like 3 or 4 Medium articles and then dig through a Discord server, read the docs and check their transparency portal. And then now I have a complete picture. Versus the Blockworks standard that we're building, it aims to be a single resource for all of that data. It should all be in the same filing. It should be legible for traditional financial analysts to read. And it's being built in such a way where we hope that it will inform what we believe will be the next phase here, which is going to be mandated disclosures. In terms of how protocols work with us, it is, like I said, a public good. You can come to us. We'll have a self-service option available soon as well. And our goal is to get all of the highest quality assets to be listing on the TTF.
Got it. And I want to ask one last question on this. I mean, we really built our show a year ago off the ICM Believe app kind of explosion of these private companies and these, more Web 2 founders like Dupe and Kled, et cetera, coming on chain and launching tokens. And at the time, it was like, wow, this is fresh. This is new. There's not just meme coins. It's like real AI startups that we can invest in. Obviously that's evolved a lot. And then there's been different, token equity models that have been tested and a number of innovation around this. However, the disclosure side and data side has been very scarce. And it's like one example of this is you can see all the on-chain metrics, which are great, volumes, protocol revenue, but some of the more intangible metrics like, revenue that's off-chain is not really there or not being captured. But that directly impacts valuation. How do you guys think of kind of like the off-chain metrics versus some of the on-chain metrics as well? And then also coverage wider than just like the top tier assets, some of the more smaller assets.
I think it's in terms of, I'll start on your second thing on assets. I think every asset issuer should be providing some sort of voluntary disclosure, whether that's through us or through whatever portal they want to build on their own. I am seeing today that the majority of retail as well as institutional investors are really valuing standardized disclosure and just disclosure in general. And so it's something that I think is nascent. It's something that people are beginning to catch on to. But I would say that a lot of the enthusiasm that we've had around the product thus far has been from teams that are in the process of launching their token, where they haven't, it's much easier to build a complete picture of the key metrics around your token and then the data around how it's owned, how it's governed when you start from day one, as opposed to trying to rebuild maybe a 5 to 10 year history.
Now I had a token.
Go ahead.
Oh no, please continue. Please continue. I didn't know you didn't finish your thought.
No, go ahead.
Okay, cool. So one of the questions I had was on tokenomics. So we've seen this sort of like evolution of the fundamental side of tokens. I mean, before no one was thinking about PE ratios, revenue, inflationary tokenomics. Back in 2021, when during the 2020 DeFi boom, during the 2021 alt season craze, no one was really kind of thinking about any of that, but now we are. There are so many different metrics that people look at to try to justify the value of a token. We've, like Josh mentioned, we've even seen these token to equity conversion models pop up. We see even ACE rounds through Pump Fund where there's a token to equity conversion model. What do you guys think about these kind of tokenomics? Do you need like a token to equity conversion to make a token valuable? Do you just need utility? In your eyes, what makes a token valuable? And maybe we can start with Luke on this.
Yeah, at the end of the day, my North Star for token valuation is DCF. I think a lot of crypto's early history has been engaged in like reinventing the wheel, as if like tokens were some form of new element on the periodic table, when quite in fact, like many can look like and can be valued with equity frameworks. And to that extent, we have hundreds of years of literature and history and information that how we should go about valuing inequity. So at the end of the day, for me, it's like revenue, net income, and that at the end of the day, token holders have a credible claim on that free cash flow, which then of course ties back to TTF and disclosure. I of course think with a network token, whether that's Solana, ETH, or Bitcoin, things can get a little murkier with moneyness and collateral utilization and TVL as perhaps some components of the valuation. But I think specifically for trying to value like a financial application token, it's pretty cut and dry. I would use an equity type framework for it.
Interesting. Thank you for that thought. And Nick, I know you had something that you wanted to mention on that as well.
Yeah, I think I'm glad to see how much experimentation there's been around this over the past year or so. I think the MetaDAO model is really interesting. I think it's being put to a stress test over the past month or so. But it's really stands as an initial point here. I think MetaDAO is likely going to evolve on their model. I think there are going to be other contenders that come out and try to build equity-aligned launch pads. But for me, it's really just about the clarity around what am I buying into? Like, what is the ownership of the foundation and the token? What is the DevCo's ownership over the token? And like, what does the DAO control? And I think if you can answer those three questions clearly and like explain what would happen if the DAO was dissolved, what would happen if the project was acquired. And obviously we've seen quite a few acquisitions over the past year or so where token holders have gotten nothing. And I think that's pushed the industry to a point where it's primed and ready for a standardized ownership model as well.
Got it. I'm of the same belief that MetaDAO is really interesting. We've covered MetaDAO, man, in their early days when Avicii was their first launch. We covered that on launch day actually, and I really think that MetaDAO created something special. They created a crypto native way to claim ownership over a particular company, and I think that's really important. But we've had this conversation, and this is sort of the core discussion on our show, and that's the reason our show started, is kind of what makes a token valuable. And MetaDAO does that in one way. But in your opinion, and maybe Luke can give us a little bit of insight on this. I mean, is reinventing the wheel as far as equity going backwards? Is crypto made to make something completely new, or build something that can kind of easily transition and kind of move into the TradFi space, like a token to equity conversion model? What are your thoughts on that one, Luke?
Yeah, I think like at large, tokens can totally play the part of equity. And one of the reasons why I love crypto and I work in this industry is it's a blank canvas and open field for experimentation on the margins as to like how much else can you do with your equity? Can you hand it out to early participants in your project or network to bootstrap growth? Yes, you can. And it actually works quite well. For the MetaDAO specifically, like they share our mission with investor protections, credible claim on assets, treasury IP, things like that. And we've been huge fans of their approach to capital formation. And while some of my like ideals and values might be pretty libertarian, I think like let the people do what they want with their money, I still think like the process of capital formation within a free market is a very sacred activity. And there's a reason why like investor protections exist and securities regulation exist within the US, which is most developed financial system in the world. And I think to that extent, like if we can adopt those things as an industry, whether it's the MetaDAO approach, TTF filings, disclosures to investors, that ultimately it's a better end deal for the project. It's a better end deal for investors, and liquid markets will increasingly just sort out and select against the projects that don't do that.
Can I ask you about a couple other models? So there's the ACE model where you're entering into a SAF agreement and you're using the token to pay for that agreement, which loosely ties the token to being on the cap table. And then there's Meteor's Bedrock model, which they have I believe a Malta-based or a Cayman-based entity that then jumps on the cap table for 10%, let's say, and then that's the portion that's tokenized. Just wanted to hear, outside of MetaDAO, like, are there any other token equity / ownership models that you think are really interesting?
I've come across the ones you've mentioned. I haven't gone deep. So, Nick, do you have any thoughts there?
Yeah, I think I can't go super deep on either of these, but I think crafts.dev, if you guys have seen them, they've only done one launch thus far, but they have what I view as like a natural expansion on the MetaDAO ownership model. It doesn't touch quite on the governance side of MetaDAO, so it's not a direct comparison there. As well as Coliseum Stamp, which is, I'm forgetting exactly what the acronym stands for, but it's a natural evolution of the SAFT model that embeds equity into the token.
Yeah, no, I mean, these are important models for our audience, and we've covered them quite extensively in the projects, because typically the projects that are coming through are really early stage. They might be a pump launch or something on a Meteor launch pad. It's 100, 200, 300K up to 2, 3, 4 million. However, they're real businesses and people starting, and it's like, okay, can we get that model in place when the token is 2 million rather than 20 million, and it's like wildly successful already, so that people can kind of get that upside. So that's why people really care about it. Chill, I don't know if you had anything else to ask on these two models, or
Yeah, no, not on the model specifically. I think I really enjoy the MetaDAO, like the crypto native. I'm crypto native, so I prefer anything that gives us kind of that decentralized access. And I like I like the permissionless approach that MetaDAO has. So really appreciate you guys' thoughts on that. Just walking backwards a little bit here. I know that we talked a little bit about the Masari acquisition and what that unlocks for you guys. I mean, now that you're at that stage, I mean, what are the next steps for Blockworks? Like, what are you, what are you guys looking forward to accomplishing here? Now that you have that acquisition behind you.
Yeah, big picture, it's just accelerate on the mission. We want to see the industry succeed and the projects within it, in addition to investors that have vested interest in the success of the industry. So right now, it's particularly top of mind for us is the Clarity Act. We'd love to see that cross the finish line, and to whatever extent it mandates disclosures and whatever those disclosures look like, we want to be we want to be like first to market with that framework, and TTF is certainly in that direction. Beyond that, like data coverage for any data we have in our platform right now, the depth and quality is phenomenal. We want that depth and quality to be available for any token-based project, and give the investor audience the ability to do the level of depth and diligence that they need to underwrite and have informed decisions. So grow the investor base, continue delivering them a high quality product, and eventually, like, if you can foster a really good marketplace between token issuers and their underwriters through investor relations, then we think we can have an impact as a firm in improving the industry and aiding in its success. So.
Luke, we need a Clarity Act probability. Give us a percentage here.
Yeah, we talked about this
done
on 0x yesterday. It's straight down the middle at 50-50.
Okay, coin flip.
I probably put it at 40 myself, and I hate to say it. It's just that window's closing, and we know these institutions and regulatory bodies do not move quickly.
And with that line of thinking, I mean, Dom has a question. Do Nick and Luke have a message for the crypto doomers? Crypto seems to be finding a lot of PMF within stables, QR, etc. Crypto in a good spot in their eyes?
Yeah. So Nick is my witness. I got kind of bearish in November. I'm at the point now, I see so many high time frame metrics I look at for cycle over cycle indicators are in the zone where they're about to, or they're starting to flash green. In terms of things that can address the doomerism, I struggle with it myself. So I look at the data and the metrics and the catalysts to keep my eyes open and the optimism glowing. So like one catalyst is Clarity Act. Again, I put it at 40%, but like if that moves to 100, I think it's just green shoots and blue skies for the industry. We go from a position of basically like we go from very high uncertainty to low uncertainty. And regardless of how hardline the regulation is, low uncertainty is bullish. So I'm looking forward to that. Whether it's like this year or the next, I can have patience on that. Then some other things I can look at. Realized price, one of my favorite on-chain indicators for Bitcoin, that's at about 55K right now. Every bear market trades a slight discount to the realized price. So Chill, you had that trading view chart up of Bitcoin and that green box drawn in. I've got that same green box like in that zone. That's
Chill, can you flick to that as well real quick?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So realized price is right in that zone. That's where I'm comfortable telling my mother that it's an okay time to buy. Not at a 3x multiple to realized price. If you trade down there, you're probably going to see bullish divergence on the weekly RSI as well. That's an indicator I'd love to watch. Another thing is like if you've been in crypto or altcoins, aside from a select few instruments like Hyperliquid, Venice, perhaps Jito recently, it's been really bad like 6 to 8 months. You can look at, well, meanwhile, like AI stocks are 3x, depending on your ticker, just buy semiconductors, and you've done great over the past year. If you look at something like the NAS 100 Bitcoin pair, and you look at that on the weekly and look at the weekly RSI, whenever the NAS 100 Bitcoin pair, whenever that weekly RSI is overbought and in levels we're at right now, where the NAS has outperformed Bitcoin by a ton, that always marks cycle bottoms. And if you look at the 3-year forward returns from an RSI that overbought, Bitcoin always outperforms over the next few years. So while in the short term, the next month or two, like I'm open to Bitcoin trading new lows at 50 to 55K, lows that I would be buying. I think on a high time horizon, like 1 to 3 years, Bitcoin's outperforming the NASDAQ. This is a really attractive zone. And yeah, like most of the indicators I look at on my board are about to be flashing green all the way across. So hopefully that can sow some optimism for
Luke. I'd like to also invite you, if you'd like to share screen and maybe throw up a couple charts. This is a trading show and we love to see charts. And that magical board that you have in front of you that's almost flashing green, we'd love to see that.
Yeah, I've got a few here.
Yeah, please.
Go slideshow. Oops. Present. Share screen. June 19th. Share. Slideshow. And
all right.
Okay, it's in the waiting room there.
I got you.
Nice.
So this is a multi-factor momentum model built by very big brain on Blockworks research, Daniel Shapiro. And you can see the indicator on the bottom here. It's put in a trough on the momentum. So we have this saying at Blockworks, like, be the line. The industry is incredibly volatile and cyclical, to the upside and to the downside. I think we've seen that downside trough, and like, where is the line from here? The line is back to the upside. That's one thing I'm looking at. Then I can share realized price here. So here's realized price. Every bear trades a discount to it, and those are really compelling entries on a high time horizon. So it's sitting at about 50 to 50K zone. And I'm open to this time being different. We don't trade a discount to it. Like, regardless, we're right about realized price. So if we trade down there, that's a high time frame signal for me.
On Bitcoin specifically, saw Stretch FUD hit the timeline on Friday or yesterday as it was trading at a severe discount, $83 it hit. What are your thoughts on the impact MSTR and STRC have on the Bitcoin market?
Yeah, so at large, people are looking to MicroStrategy and their actions almost like legacy markets would look to the Fed, more so than at any point in history, and perhaps for good reason. Like Stretch is very much the closest thing we have to like a Bitcoin bond. I'm of the mindset, I've been of the mindset that MicroStrategy should have never issued Stretch at such a high dividend yield, which is their cost of capital. You think of the converts they used historically, like 50 bips coupon, and then maybe some dilution at a share price 200% higher than the day the convert was offered. Like, not bad to get diluted up there. So moving to the dividend yield of 11.5%, it's just raised their cost of capital a lot. So the market is looking at this institution, and they see this growing liability on the MicroStrategy balance sheet, which right now it obligates them to sell about $1.3 billion of Bitcoin per year just to cover that dividend obligation. And you can think of Stretch as like the instrument is only viable if Bitcoin's CAGR is in excess of the dividend yield. Like, assuming no ATM offering, assuming no other financing methods, like they need Bitcoin to appreciate in excess of that dividend yield. So when you have an 8-month period of time where Bitcoin's not outperforming that dividend yield, the viability of the instrument comes into question, and the market needs a higher effective yield to hold that paper, which is exactly what we see in the recent devaluation. That all that being said, like compared to the ETFs, Sailor is really not the dominant flow in the market. ETFs are moving around 10 times as much capital, but despite that, like the long side of Bitcoin doesn't want to be on the wrong side of Sailor's flows in the event like he needs to unwind that. So if I were Fong Li or Sailor right now, and I see paper that I sold at 100 trading at 82 or 86, as much as I hate to say it, I'd be selling Bitcoin in the yards to buy back and retire that issuance. Because what does that do is, like, one, it's buy pressure on Stretch, can move the price up. Two, it reduces the liability side of that equation that the market has become increasingly concerned about. And yeah, that would be my playbook, but I'm not in charge there. So
I like it. Chill, do you have any thoughts? Because I do want to ask about some individual assets beyond the majors.
Before we get to individual assets, can we just like start like kind of narratives? Any emerging narratives that you guys see right now that kind of sparks your interest? We're at this this time period where, you know, the attention on crypto is fairly low, but the innovation, the amount of innovation and iteration in the space is pretty high. So what's kind of piquing your interest? Maybe we start with Nick on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to beat a dead horse here. You've probably heard everybody and their mom say this, but institutions are coming on chain. I think the RWA narrative is really, really compelling. But within that scope, I think I'm super interested to see what happens with Coinbase's recent announcement with their tokenized equities, and like how the base volumes compare to the Solana volumes for tokenized RWAs. I think Solana obviously has like a huge moat here. You mentioned Backpack earlier. Like they were able to really like become the dominant trading venue in a matter of 2, 3, 4 days on Solana, at least.
Impressive.
Yeah, no, it was super cool to see. But I think with Coinbase's distribution, like there's another narrative there, and like maybe base tokenized assets take off as well. But I guess we're in the early innings here, and so I don't want to make a call until I see the Coinbase products live in action.
You got me with that last line. I was just about to ask you about Backpack. I mean, the volumes there have been absolutely insane, but you're right. It's probably best to wait for the product to come out, and then we can kind of judge the two side by side. Luke, I know you mentioned you had another chart that you'd like to share. We'll get that up here in a second, and feel free to riff off.
Perhaps my take might sound consensus, but I still think it's underowned, and like the end outcome is still perhaps mispriced, and there's like a few 100x upside to the sector of perpetual futures on RWAs and equities and commodities. So like we know the perpetual futures exchange and marketplace is like a cash cow within crypto, whether it's on-chain or a centralized exchange. And through much of that history, like that's been perps on crypto. And like really outside of Bitcoin, a lot of those listings and those tokens are meant for selling, because a lot of the issues we see that, again, we're trying to fix with TTF and investor protections and disclosures. But equities, on the other hand, investor protections like strong PMF. If they're in the S&P 500, they've been self-selected already to be some of the best companies in the world, and they get a mechanistic bid from indices. So like what happens when you can trade perpetual futures on equities, NVIDIA, SpaceX, Tesla, whatever it might be? We really couldn't do this a year ago, but through HIP3, through Lighter, we see the PMF that they have. So
is this because perps are a better mechanism than, let's say, options or futures?
Yes, yeah. So options are really good instruments in themselves for like if you want to trade the volatility surface, or you want like time constrained duration and hedging. Like options still have great specifications for those dimensions, but like retail just wants to trade delta on leverage. They want leveraged outcomes to the price. They don't want to eat theta and all these other Greeks that they don't want to. Nobody wants to bother to understand. So like options, you're paying too much for exposures you don't necessarily want. You don't necessarily want to buy. Whereas perpetual futures, like a perfect instrument to get that delta one leverage. I'm too bullish. I'm of the mindset that like single stock and index perpetual futures volumes will ultimately eclipse those volumes that we see on options at the moment, which would put like perpetual futures volumes marketplace in the deca hundreds of trillions in some end state. And I think like the offshore participants like Hyperliquid and Lighter they can win a lot of this market. They'll grow with it as they have been, as this chart shows. But I'm also open to like the CME or the CBOE or Intercontinental Exchange, like building in this vertical as well and winning some of the onshore market. So big picture, I think this theme it's become consensus, but I still think like where it's going is mispriced. And we mentioned this earlier. You brought up the chart earlier. You're seeing the same thing with spot equity volumes on Solana. The same thing is true. Like people want to trade the things that are going up and to the right, and like if you can bring those things on chain, trade them spot or leverage through futures, like that's going to get some traction.
Can I ask about perps on Solana? obviously Hyperliquid is a really important part and one of my best trades, of course, as it is for many. But what about perps on Solana? I know Toli's got this percolator risk engine that is like an open source risk engine, hoping that there's a bunch of innovation there. Do you have any thoughts on if there will be a winner for perps on Solana? What's the next Hyperliquid on Solana is what I'm asking you here, Luke, if that's a possible answer you can give me.
The Hyperliquid on Solana, I have a lot of confidence in the Ellipsis Labs team and what they're building with Phoenix Perps. We saw them execute on the Claude vision for a period of time. We saw them execute on the Prop AMM. They're now building in the perp space, and volumes have seen decent traction. The issue is from a retailer user perspective, like how do I get long the Ellipsis Labs bull case? Is like that team has been very staunch in their communication. There will not be a token. So unfortunately, like you got to discount any airdrop farming there. That would be my look on Solana. Nick, I'm unsure if you've got thoughts there.
Yeah, I think there's like two competing narratives here. One is, can you build a great perp dex on Solana? And two is, can you build a great perp dex fully on Solana? On the second part, I think that Phoenix is going to be the dominant player there. I agree with Luke. But I've been looking at bulk trade as well. Bulk trade it hasn't launched yet. It's on testnet now, but it's going to be sort of a hybrid model where validators run a side client that enables the off-chain execution for bulk trade and then trades settle on-chain. And I think when you're comparing to Hyperliquid execution, it's really hard to compete with a 27 centralized validator set. And so I think we don't have any public data on like what execution is going to look like for bulk, but I think that's like the best shot on goal in the immediate term for what a great high performance perp dex can look like on Solana. Maybe closer to 1 year, 2 years from now, there are a lot of Solana network upgrades coming down the pipe that may enable similar levels of execution for Phoenix. But for the most part, I would say that like bulk is where I'm looking, and bulk will have a token. So watch out for that in the coming months.
Nice. So we saw that, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Hyperliquid got to like 8% of global perp OI. I mean, at what point do you think this number, maybe not just Hyperliquid alone, maybe as Dom here says, maybe thoughts on JTX or any of the other perp dexes that you might that you get, the perp offerings that you guys mentioned. At what point does this reach 50%? At what point is trading on a decentralized perp dex just kind of has more product market fit, makes more sense for more people than the options available now?
And I think Dom's representing Jito, by the way, or mentioning JTO.
Yeah, go ahead, Luke.
I think part of it might be the distribution side, and like we're of course monitoring Coinbase and their launch of futures, which have largely like flopped compared to Hyperliquid or Binance, and like perhaps Coinbase actually has a really valid business case to be a builder on Hyperliquid, and instead just like off the front end. If you see like growing distribution from like the builder and deployer layer, whether it's things like the Phantom integration, you see 20 times that, and you're originating flow onto the on-chain venue through these other distribution layers. I really think that's like the upside case to the Dex versus X perp volume and OI ratios.
So you're thinking that Coinbase recognizes that the front end war, let's say, is won by Hyperliquid, which they're the back end kind of to all those, whether it be PvP or like you mentioned, Phantom. And then Coinbase's role in this is they're the USDC issuer. So they're fine with just stacking USDC and not having to necessarily run because running a perp DEX securely is a very complicated piece of software. It's not something everyone can do. Is that kind of the play there?
Yeah, as long as there's growing USDC paired open interest, like Coinbase can win a component of that equation, and I could see them leaning into that.
And so was that because this was a major friction point for Hyperliquid, which you have to bridge to Arbitrum and then bridge it into Hyperliquid. It's like almost even for a crypto native, like 3 jumps there that you're making, you're doing bridging and all this kind of stuff. Do you think now that Coinbase has this direct pipeline in there, it's like, all right, these volumes are going to continue like taking off, and we've beaten Binance. What's the go there?
I don't think anyone can quite say they've beaten Binance yet. I think what's still there's been a lot of competition for the offshore market where we haven't seen competition at scale in the pockets that matter is onshore post clarity perpetual futures exchanges. And that landscape is still very murky as to like what licenses will be needed, who regulates what products, who can trade them. It's still incredibly early, but like the onshore US market in terms of where it is in its life cycle and where I think it's going to be in its scale is still in its infancy. So that's, in my opinion, going to be the most important market to win in the long run. Yeah.
Got it. So we're coming up on about an hour here. We definitely want to respect your time. It's been an absolutely amazing conversation, just kind of getting an inside view from you guys' standpoint. One question that I didn't get answered that I wanted to talk about was, at what point did the conversation with Masari go from competition to collaboration? I mean, it's been so much in the space. We see this all the time. I mean, it's a competitive space, right? It's that's what we're here to do at the same time. But I think it's so important for companies and bigger players in the industry to come together. And I think you guys did that beautifully. I mean, just talk to us a little bit about that, at least whatever you can say anyway.
Yeah, so both Blockworks and Masari, we started around 8 years ago at the same time. We had kind of different approaches on the same mission. And I would say also throughout our history, each of the two companies were faced consistently with very similar problems and issues that we may have tackled from different approaches. And to that extent, they offer different perspective and ways of operating, which we very much can appreciate. I think in terms of the conversation, the velocity and how it came to be from competition to collab, I can't share too much on, but some of it's just the nature of the bear market and the cycle that we're in, where it's hard for a lot of people right now. Business isn't booming the way it is when Bitcoin's at 120K. So it's kind of an opportunity to have a sober look at the industry we're operating in, take a look around the room, see what we've got, see what we don't, and see what we can do better. To that extent, what we can do better was collaborate, not compete, and go at the future as a combined entity.
Got it. And we have Dom here. He wants your take on robotics. Before we get to that, just one last comment on that. I just think it's so important to kind of highlight and hover over that point, because there's so many players in this space and we all have different perspective. We bring different values to the table, and it's just amazing to me, because I've always had this question: why don't we just work together in some ways? And so, hey, if it takes a bear market for us to do that, at the end of the day, we're growing outward as an industry, and so sometimes it takes us coming together in order for us to do that. So really beautiful, you guys coming together in that way. But Dom wants your take on the robotics. Any interest there? I mean, we've seen some on-chain stuff come up, but what do you think? Is it a sustainable narrative, and is it something that's coming soon?
I'm not an expert here, so take this with a grain of salt. But my general perspective here is that like the intersection of AI and robotics has caused the robotics industry to accelerate meaningfully over the past 3 to 4 years. There are quite a few companies that are getting close to production ready with like what I would consider alpha or beta versions of humanoid robots, of drone delivery networks, of autonomous cars with like Tesla's Cybercab and Waymo. But I think the piece that nobody's missing here is that without a standardized coordination system, think like air traffic controllers for airplanes, like these robots are operating in piecemeal. You know, one is connected maybe to Tesla's network, and their humanoids and their vehicles are all connected to that same network. But how does that network communicate with the Waymo network? And like eventually there's going to be so many robots that are out there, whether they're vehicles or drones or just humanoid robots, and they don't have any sort of standard layer of communication today, which I think is going to be disastrous. So all that to say, I think the innovation is really exciting. I think it's going to keep getting faster and faster. And I think that AI only fuels that innovation. But I expect to see some regulation coming down the pipe. Maybe as a reactionary instead of a proactive force, TBD on that. And B, I think that while the capabilities of these robots are going to keep getting better and better, I think it's going to be a while before we see like the average Joe integrating them into their lives.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. AI will definitely power a lot of the innovation. There's a founder or two that have come on our show to even say that they've, the model that they've built is now kind of building itself in some way, shape, or form. So, definitely AI will power a lot of these innovations. But Nick, Luke, it's been an absolute pleasure picking your brain, kind of getting a sense of, what you guys are looking at, how you're viewing the industry here. It's been an amazing conversation.
Chill,
Josh,
can we do one more?
Yeah.
We like to leave the show again. Trader Show top picks. Can't say Hyperliquid. Can't say Zek. Can't say. I'm kidding. But any top picks. Things that you're really excited about in the space, and something other than maybe the majors. If you're to choose outside the majors,
could even be a narrative.
Could be a narrative. I'll start with Luke, and then Nick, if you want to give us your top picks.
And it's got to be crypto.
Okay. No, it doesn't. Anything to invest in. Yeah.
Okay. Within crypto, my favorite is Pendle. I view them as the marketplace for the most attractive financial instruments crypto has to offer, which is like the high yield, zero coupon bond, the principal tokens. Every yield-bearing asset issuer goes to market on Pendle. They overspend on Pendle and get the highest return on their investment from spending incentives on Pendle. Then the other side of that marketplace, which is the money markets. Money markets love listing zero coupon bonds, and it's the zero coupon bonds that historically always generate highest loan to value ratios, highest percentage of the total supply utilized as collateral on money markets. So they're like the highest margin listings for money markets as a collateral type. That's just V2. We talked earlier about growth in perpetual futures. Now through Boros and the swaps market, they have a vehicle and a marketplace to capitalize on growth in just total OI, whether it's crypto, RWA, perps, any interest rate, which they've barely scratched the surface of, that can be traded against in a swap market on Boros. So I also just think it's a beautiful and elegant product and marketplace. So I have fun studying it. So that'd be that's my ticker.
Nice.
I saw Pendle in back in the last bear market at like 15 mil market cap. It's amazing to see how they've grown from, this little project on Arbitrum to what they are now. Let's move on
buying
to
it
Nick.
off the bonding curve, right off the bonding curve.
Nick, what about you?
I'll take the on-chain side of this. I'm definitely bullish on new venues being listed by trusted issuers. So Jito with their JTX product and Arrow launching on Ethereum, I think are both events that I'm watching here. And then outside of that, we mentioned Avicii earlier. I think Avicii is really compelling. There was sort of a neobank, an on-chain neobank frenzy happening a few months back, and Avicii caught that hype wave. But Avicii has built a really sticky user base, and it's trading well below the relative valuations in the space.
100%.
I mean, MetaDAO ownership model.
Yeah, Nick, you're wearing a
100%.
00 hat. I've been doing a little 00 research myself. I'm also a big Rollcoin fan, so I don't know if you have any WLD, but that's performed quite well. But 00 has been really interesting, and I know you're the DPIN guy, but it hasn't performed quite as well as I thought it would. Any thoughts on 00? Or is it just a hat? It's just a hat.
No, I like the network just as much as the hat. In broad strokes here, I think 00 is building something that is very, very compelling. And it's been applied to the Solana network for validators, and then now is being applied to the Solana network for high frequency traders who need access to Solana shreds to make trades. And in a way, I feel like it's been built into this Solana silo thus far, but the network isn't dependent on Solana, and the infrastructure that they've built can be applied to other crypto networks, obviously, but I think the bigger use cases here are outside of crypto. It's the kind of network that enables genuine performance upgrades for things like training AI models or high frequency trading on non-crypto venues. Anything where you need a private fiber network and don't necessarily want to build that out yourself for your specific use case, 00 is I think your best bet today to access private fiber and improve execution for really any sort of use case. So it's very early innings for 00, but I'm super excited to see what they're able to introduce now that they've built out this base layer.
Looks good at 250 here, 250 mil.
I'm not going to make a call here. If you're buying here, you're buying based on the fundamentals of their current businesses. And like I said, there's an infinite amount of potentially near-term use cases that they can layer onto what they've built. So,
absolutely. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate the takes, fellas. And I mean, just a little side comment on the Avicii take. I mean, their metrics are absolutely out of they're absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, I agree with you on that one. The retention is good, volume is good, card spend volume as well is good. So all good things. But I really like your takes, guys. Appreciate your time today, allowing us to just kind of pick your brain a little bit here for like an hour, a little over an hour here. But really appreciate you guys coming on the show, and we're looking forward to having you guys back again. Thank you so much, Nick and Luke.
Yeah, thanks again. Really appreciate it, and hope you guys have a good holiday weekend.
Yes.
Great conversation, guys. Thanks for having us on.
Yes.
Appreciate it, guys. Take care.
All right, guys.
Boom.
Welcome back. And hey, must apologize. June 19th is Juneteenth, and I didn't realize the markets were closed today, but good to get the guys on. I'm glad they were able to join us, and really appreciate them joining us even today on a market close day. So just want to add that in.
Yeah, it is. Markets are closed today, but it is what it is. It was a great conversation, honestly. Just picking their brain, seeing things from their viewpoint. All right, so let's see. Rest of the stream here. All right, guys. Here's
Can
how
we
this will
maybe
go.
pull the charts open that they mentioned really quick on yours? So Pendle,
With,
00.
let's see, Pendle. Oh my goodness. Pendle. Let's go
Right
here.
off the
Bang.
bonding curve. Right off the bonding.
Dude, they don't even like. I was. All right. Hold on, Pendle. Let me get something with a little bit more history than that. Let me get something with a little bit more history. Probably OKX would have more history, or CryptoCap. Let's check. Let's check
Bitstamp,
both.
maybe.
Dang! Wow, the history is like, Pendle. Bitstamp. Let's see. Give us something. Bitstamp.
That's
Come on.
the euro. This guy's going to the euro pair.
Oh shoot, my bad. Was that the Euro pair? I didn't even. I just kind of clicked on it. Oh, my bad. Yeah, it was the Euro pair. Holy crap! All right, let's see.
Okay, yo, what?
All right, so this was like I was buying this like back in 2022. I didn't hold for the full move, but man, holy crap! It was largely a fumble, Pendle, because it's very gigabrain. It's very finance gigabrain. Like and I couldn't understand it all. So I was like, I can't understand it. So, but it is from every, big brain that has reviewed it, from every thread that I've read about it, from every, well-respected analyst, researcher, trader, all good things to say about Pendle. Actually retired one of my homies. So yeah, shout out Pendle. But yeah, the chart's looking good. We're down like how much from all-time high back in September of last year, down by 80% from the highs back in August 2025. So, overall, when you're thinking of just kind of like having spot exposure, this is probably a great place here on Pendle. And, from a fundamental standpoint as well, they have a lot coming, like Luke was mentioning. What are the others that they mentioned? I believe they mentioned
00, which is 2Z. It's literally like the number 2 and then Z or Z.
Oh, 20?
Yeah.
Like this? Wait.
Let's see.
Like 20 or 00?
No, like the number 2 and then 0 or 2Z. Sorry, 2Z.
Oh, 2Z.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Let's see here. Let's look at the Coinbase
00.
chart real quick. Oh, geez. On the weekly, this is like a Met chart. If this has any type of like fundamental value, it's absolutely bottomed out. It's now revisiting.
This is one I'm actually
really
looking at. I think this is a huge potential monster. So what they do is they have this like global fiber optic network for high frequency trading, and then there's a bunch of different use cases that can be built on top of it. As you mentioned, like this is how Solana's validator clusters work across the world. I really like this. I think the market cap is 250 currently. Now, I think there are some emissions and whatnot, but I'm not 100% sure what they are. I know this chart just looks super, super like.
Like many other things in crypto, the charts are looking absolutely beaten down. And like we were talking about with Luke, I think we're coming on to a time where, look, this is gonna be the bottom is very very, very close. Jeez, Crypto Jones. Looks like a pump fun rug, he says.
It is like not it is. Sorry. It does look like a pump, but Austin is the guy who runs it. He was like head of strategy at Solana for like a bunch of years. So the team's legit, very, very legit project, but yes, does look like the right side of a good old pump situation.
What was the other one that they mentioned? So we have 00, Pendle.
I'm trying to remember. I can't. Do you guys remember?
I think that was it. Yeah. If you guys remember, let us know what they said. But I think that was that. Oh no, it wasn't Arrow. It was
Avicii. That's what it was.
Avicii. Yeah.
Oh, he did say he
let's
did.
take-
I think he mentioned Arrow too, but yeah, Avicii.
I mean, we've always said it on this show, right? Avicii is just, they've had good numbers this entire time. They've had really, really good numbers. Let's look at the Avicii chart. I mean, just to give you guys some context, last year, back in November, this is when everybody and their mother, even the ETH guys that are still the guys that were still launching stuff on ETH, trading on ETH, even they were calling Avicii. And so
this is one of my
obviously
biggest regrets not buying this right at the ICO was this.
We
Watching
covered
this
it.
go from 6 mil from the interview. I'm like, oh man, this is a really compelling thing. The UI looked really good. No. My wife had to do a call and she didn't want the flag up because she works at a Canadian company. But anyways, it went from 6 mil and then I had to watch it go to 100 mil, and I was just like, oh, I was not in it the whole time.
Crazy move, man. Crazy move. But I mean, look, we have Avicii like today, fast forward. They launched what was that, 8-10 months ago, however long it's been. We've been stuck underneath this $13 level for basically since February of this year, and we kind of we formed our ultimate bottom back in April, and we've been slowly kind of climbing up. And now we have XPL kind of being the front runner of the entire narrative. But again, like the metrics on Avicii that's come out has been absolutely phenomenal. I mean, their retention rates, their spend volume, their user base has grown. Like everything has grown from a metric standpoint. So I've never really gotten
if
out.
you're to flick the market cap there, what's the market cap on this at $13?
Probably 10 mil, 12 mil,
yeah,
13.
13.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, look, Avicii looks solid in my opinion. Avicii looks solid. It's a one of the very few long-term investments that you can make in the space right now.
I think that's definitely a buy, and forget, we got to put respect on Dom's name. If we can go to Dom's Dom we covered Met yesterday. We're like, okay, guys, let's look at this transparency reporting. Boom. It was like they had $40 million in their treasury. It's trading at 50 mil. And man, did Meteor run. I think you guys covered it pre-show, so maybe we don't have to rehash it, but man.
Yeah, we covered it pretty good. We went through his tweet. Apparently he got a bunch of huge retweets from Blunts and a few others. We covered that one pretty well. Let's take a quick look, chat, at just utility in general. I think we're getting a nice little bounce across the board on some of the stuff that we like. I think Pi is coming to a really great spot here at 2 mil. 0.786, very nice level to buy. GM Top Fumbler, hope you're doing well, brother. I'll see you in the Discord later. Squire coming to is starting to cool off after that move. Seeing Clued make an attempt. I don't know. I'm still eyeing this buy level here at just sub 1.5 mil because of these huge sell-offs that we've been seeing on Clued. But obviously they're building a massive product, so definitely want to get as much exposure to that as I can. Same thing with Opal bouncing off of a key level. I posted about this the other day, but this 0.786 level has been pretty good. I mean, if we get the green box sub 2 mil, though, that's key level. But so far so good here on Opal. Let me see. Not much else happening. Obviously, we talked about Pumpcade earlier this week. They broke out of that downtrend. I mean, looks pretty amazing there. Let's real quick look at some other Sol stuff because I want to go to Ori. I want to go to a few others. Look at this Ori chart. My goodness.
Oh
Four 476 to 2 mil in a day or two, basically. Holy
my
crap.
goodness.
Yeah, another one that we called out in the Discord was FLKR. This one ran like, geez, man, this one ran. Look at this freaking chart, man. This is
It's
like, I gotta
just
go down
blue.
to the,
It's a wall, bro. That's a wall.
dude, look at that. I mean,
Oh
even
my.
off the, wow, look at that. It's just a good freaking chart, man. Good freaking chart there. Jeez. I missed this one. I missed this one. But yeah, looking very good. Onchain has been having a few opportunities for us. So you want to be in the Discord. You want to be in the Discord. We talk about all these things in the Discord. Let me actually real quick. I'm gonna go to the Discord right now. Go to trades and let's search this ticker real quick. FLKR. FLKR. This was scanned in the Discord at 400K market cap. So, now it's at 2.3 mil. Ori, let's see when,
bro, RJ, I'm looking at that. I'm like, man, yes, RJ, it's been a good delim. I've been delimming Ansem actually, which has been that printed overnight. I'm up over 100% on the delim on this on Ansem. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good, bro. Even Ori was called in the Discord at about like 770K, somewhere around there. So I mean, look, I mean, yo, you want in on this? Oh, dude, we printed on zero. We printed on zero. Sold
Yo, look at Fumbler.
50K.
Yo.
Oh my god.
Okay,
oh
top
my
Fumbler,
gosh.
you're literally green lit to like give us tickers that are sub 100K. You are green lit, bro. Green lit. The amount of stuff I've seen you call at sub 100K and run up is beyond anyone else for sure.
All for the Discord. All for the Discord.
We need Top Fumbler needs a channel. I'm gonna say this. Top Fumbler needs a channel in the Discord. I think we can get you a call channel. Let's get that going. Sorry, Chill. I don't know if I don't want to make decisions for you. Discord's kind of like your thing, but I need to see Top Fumbler's calls.
Nah, Top Fumbler. I mean he has access to the thesis channel. So, if you want, if he has a high conviction trade in something, he definitely can post about it. Zero. This one was called in the Discord at like 200K, like sub 300K. I think it was 260. So this one, and obviously this hit 5 mil just not too long ago. So look, guys, you want to get in the Discord. Trust me.
So all right, let's show people how to use this. Because I'm clearly missing out these Flickr 50K calls here. How can we find these? Where in the Discord? I don't know if you want to screen share, Chill, the Discord, or
you
can kind of show us.
Yeah, so here's what you're gonna do, guys. Hold on one second. Here's what you're doing. Here's what you're gonna do. Bang. All right. So here's what you're gonna do with the Discord. This is maybe I just increase this for a second. When you come in, you have several different tabs. So we have the MCG live, the MCG live section. This will give you all of our clips. It'll tell you whenever we go live. As you can see, we have a bot here that tells you whenever we go live. It just happened today. We have stream notes. You can make topic requests if you want to see a particular project or founder on the stream, or if you want to see a trader come on the show, you can always shoot us that info there. In the community section, we have the general section. I mean, for the GMs and GNs, for the market discussions, just for the just chopping it up. Then we have the trenching section. This is where all the calls have been made. If you literally just follow this trenching section over the last several days, you'll have their all the information on all of this stuff that we've scanned. We also have perps. So if if you trade perps, you trade majors, we also have some setups there. 2 back-to-back L's for the boy. But my first call in the perps channel was the Zek short on the Head and Shoulders. So I'm proud of that. And I also had a couple good cheeky longs and shorts in the perps. So I'm good. I'm good. Some L's, but some dubs too. Then we have the alpha section as well. This is where you'll see, our individual journals, my journal, Josh's journal, and then Dom will have a journal section here shortly. And then, we have a few others for like founders and stuff like that. But yeah, when you come in, you'll start here, and you'll basically just kind of, go through, read the rules, and then just dive right into the server. But ultimately, that's all there is to the Discord server. Link in bio. And Daddy Duster has been enjoying the DLIM journaling from our boy Josh. So look, there's a lot of free value that we're able to give out here. And at this point, guys, I'm not really sure if we're gonna like just grow this Discord server indefinitely, or if we stop at a certain point. I'm not 100% certain just yet. But I feel like at some point we might have to stop, or we might have to cap it, because when you get too many people in there, everything just kind of gets lost, right? Too many people trenching at the same time, too many people talking at the same time. So at some point we'll cap it, but so far it's actually been pretty active. It's been good. It's been high signal. And literally, if all you did was hang out here, you would have caught like most of the runners that recently ran. So not bad at all. Really love the Discord. Link in the MCG bio. But outside of that, I mean, not much on chain. Bitcoin pulling back, majors pulling back. We had some on-chain stuff starting to pull back as well. We even have it looks like some of these meme coins even are starting to pull back. Some of them lost key levels, some looking better than others. Joshua here, was one that we talked about down here at like 3 mil. I was expecting a more deeper retracement on this one. If I get like an entry, if I get an entry here, I'd actually love it. Actually, let's go to see if we can identify a pivot real quick.
So now I know why I'm missing Top Fumbler's calls here, is because he's under a different name, bro.
Bro.
Okay.
Chill.
All right. I won't say anything else.
Yeah. Dom says Orinth Eco deep dive. Yeah. Let's look at it real quick. Ori. Let's see what we can dig up here in a second. Seeing launches on Ori and their game group is racking up submissions. I just saw a tweet that's hilarious. Oh my goodness. I think Netanyahu will ape Flickr. What in the world? That's hilarious. Let's see. I'm looking for, oh my gosh. Look at another tweet that I found. I found Ben Pasternak, but on steroids. Giannis Kenzie built a launchpad on Meteor where he's onboarding startups from Web 2 to Web 3. Ori launchpad could be huge. Look at Believe token, it was 700K a while and then went to 100 mil. Okay. Let's see. I didn't realize that, the Ori launch was actually getting that popular. Hold on one second here. We definitely gotta dig in to the Orinth Eco real quick. Let's see, orinth.dev. Let's just go to the website. Let's see what they got, because I'm seeing that Pi and that Flickr was No way. All Pie was a part of their ecosystem. Wow. Ori is a bags token. Let's see.
Man, there is a Ori token on bags. That's what I'm saying. Do you have the CA for Ori? And I will settle this once and for all. I need to find out.
Yeah, 2 seconds.
I really hope they didn't
All
launch
right.
their token on bags and launched on their own launch pad, because that would make a lot more sense. No.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, dang. Dom said it was launched on bags. Crap.
Damn it.
Crap.
Migrated.
PTSD. All right, let's see something real quick.
And that SpaceX mode that bags launched, like I traded a couple tokens that launched through that, just pure extraction. It was terrible. It's like, oh yeah, yo,
Yeah, I can
exactly.
only.
That's RJ. I lost money. I was
Oh
like,
shoot!
this is terrible.
He said it's AIDS. It really is, RJ. Yo, I didn't realize that Moonshift was on here as well. I didn't know that Moonshift was a part of their eco. Like, I'm actually in that. Okay, I like
all right.
this.
Time out.
For me, here's what's exciting.
Sorry,
Yeah, real
Jay,
quick. Here's what's really exciting. Am I lagging? Jesus. I apologize. Take it, Josh.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead. I was just asking for the link to this page here, but I can find it. I got you.
I got you. It's orinth.dev. ORYNTH.dev. Am I coming through okay now?
Yeah, you're
awesome.
good.
Awesome. All right. So let's see here. Orinth is really really interesting. So why do I find Orinth interesting? First and foremost, I didn't know that this full ecosystem, but I've been onboarded as a trader. If that makes sense. I didn't know that this was an ecosystem, but I've now been invested in 2 of the projects within this ecosystem just because of the underlying fundamentals. We did the full all pie breakdown, not last Friday, I believe it was Friday before, but one of these Friday streams, we did the full all pie breakdown. You know, massive model coming out of India, competing against frontier models while still being cheaper, faster inference, etc. Go ahead, Josh.
Alphas, they might be coming on the show next week.
No way. Dude, we got to get Orinth on this show as well. Moonshift is another one. It's a Replit styled platform. Another one that we talked about inside of the Discord. Top holder 12%. Which one is this? Which one is that, Crypto Jones? Who's holding 12% of what? Let me know. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm already interested. Oh, Ori? Are we sure it's not like a are we sure it's not like a liquidity pool or something? Or a stream flow lock? I'll try to verify that, and if I find anything, I'll let you know in Discord. Josh, can you take it, by the way, for a second?
Yeah, yeah, I got you. But I'm also kind of lagging though, guys. I'm not gonna lie. Sorry about
me and Dom are very close to each other, and this storm is starting to kind of affect me a little bit here.
Yeah, no, all good. You're actually coming through okay now, but yeah, we're just kind of lagging up here. Like I'm cooked, honestly. I think it's the yeah, Joe, I need to go buy a gaming laptop, guys. That's what I'm doing this weekend. I'm tired of this. So the need a laptop improvement here, but yeah, we're just kind of lagging.
Hardware upgrades. Yeah, I think I literally can't do anything.
Yeah.
I literally can't do anything right now. Yo, guys, I guess we just cut it here for the sake of like show quality or something. Link in the bio for the Discord. Hit me in the Discord, y'all. Join up, say what's up, come trade with us, come research, share your opinion on the market, share who you want to see on MCG. And we're happy to get to know you guys on a much more personal level.
Yeah, and I'll say
Josh, I think
we'll
that's
we'll do a little Orange deep dive next week. And we're gonna get we have one of the projects on. We're gonna try and get the founder on. What kind of Wi-Fi? I mean, honestly, who knows? Ave dunking on your Wi-Fi,
bro. Dude, it's not that, dude. I'm in like I'm not in I don't live in the city, bro. Like I live like on the outskirts. You feel me? Like I live like in the suburbs near the sticks, not in the sticks, near the sticks. And literally I only have one option for a Wi-Fi provider, okay? They have a monopoly on our entire area. This is all I can get. But I'll tell you this, I'm working on Starlink. So I'll make the upgrade to Starlink so that way this is no longer an issue. I'll make some hardware upgrades here soon. I promise. Need a wallet for MCG tech upgrades. Dude, yes. Dude, Josh will set up a donation wallet.
Yo, well, the chat is blowing up. Oh my gosh. Like that's how bad it's lagging, is all of a sudden this all coming in. That's so funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine living in the woods and not having Starlink. Yeah. Look at Dom's comment. Highlight Dom's comment. See, we had an electricity thing blow up, so it's out across the city for a bit. See, guys, it's not just me. This is the storm. Me and Dom live near each other, so here we are. Here we are. But yes, tech upgrades inbound. Oh shoot. Dom is speaking with the Orange team, by the way.
All right.
Nice.
We're gonna get an eco deep dive next week. I want to know also what's like unique about this for some, printer, believe. We've seen a few of these, so definitely want to get a
yeah, definitely want to see what's unique about it. We'll look into it next week. I look forward to that.
All right. We also need your help, guys. We have a product that we've kind of been teasing all week. We are excited about it. I don't know if we're fully super like loving it right this second to be pushed out, but we might release it on the Discord just to try and find like some key things to build towards. I don't want to wait too long on it. I'd rather just get feedback ASAP. But yeah, keep an eye on the Discord for that. And ideally, hopefully it's a product where, we can get some admin logins and have a little community contribution. But yeah, Crypto Jones, this is for Ori. So it's just kind of mentioning some supply, but also bullish supply control sometime, so you never know. But yeah.
Bullish supply control. Shout out SpaceX.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah. We'll dig into Orin next week. I'm actually like this actually is very, very, very interesting to me. But yeah, Ave, GG's, have a good weekend. Love you guys. I'll pass on the timeline and in the Discord. GG's, fellas.
See you guys. Stay safe in the markets. Let's make some money next week. Let's go.